Hey fellow gliders, welcome back. Today we are going to take a look at how to do friend requests in Glide. So the premise is that you have a list of users and you want those users to be able to visit other people's profiles, request to be their friend, and then have those users either accept or decline the friendship. And if they accept, then they will mutually become friends. So in order to achieve this, we're going to use a series of different types of columns, namely different types of array columns like make array, split and join, add to array, remove from array, make array. And I'll show you why in just a minute. Now, before we make all the magic happen here in our app, we have to make sure that our columns are all set up and ready to go, so that way we can create the functionality using buttons here in our app. All right, so we're going to dive into our data editor, and I've already created the functionality. I'm just going to walk you through it just to save some time. All right, so here we have a list of users, and then these users have profiles. Right now in Glide, it's currently best practice to have a separate public profile sheet, so then that way you're not exposing user data like phone numbers and emails to people who have access to the app. So these public profiles, you see all we have is like name, user ID, and photo, which is less sensitive information. So the first thing we have to do is recognize who is using the app. So I have a template column here called My User ID, where I'm grabbing the row ID from the user profile sheet. Okay. We also see in this profile sheet that we have basically a mirror of whatever's in our user sheet. So we're going to assume that during onboarding into our app, user creates their profile, they hit create my profile, and it just takes this information like their name, row ID, and photo and sends it to a new row here in the profile sheet. And then that way users can update their profiles correspondingly. All right. Then I have a relation from the My User ID template column back to the profile sheet, which is where we're currently at, then the user ID. Right, so it's basically a relation back to yourself. So we see here I'm signed in as Bob, and so this is my Bob's user ID, and this is a relation back to my row. If I sign in as Alan, we see it the same thing as for Alan, and then for Tamsin as well. All right, so now our profile sheet recognizes who is signed in and has a relation back to our current row. So then that way, depending upon where we're at in our app, we can always talk back to our profile. All right, next, I have this data table broken down into two different functions, requests and friends. So we need to have some like temporary kind of placeholder logic here for just while they're requesting in a request state. And then once the other party accepts the friend request, then we kind of take some information and transfer it over to like the friends section. All right, for the requests section, first thing I have here is a text column that just says all friend requests. And what I want to happen here in this column is that when, let's say I'm viewing as Tamsin and I want to request to be Alan's friend, right? I want to be able to write my ID, Tamsin's ID, to his list of friend requests. And if Alan already has a list of friend requests, maybe like person 1 and person 2 have already requested to be his friend, I want to add my ID, 3 let's say, to his list of requests. So this is a method called the Trebuchet method. I have several videos on that already, but we'll walk you through it again today as part of this context. All right, so we have a list of all the friend requests, and they're going to be comma separated. Again, like 1, 2, 3, let's say. Okay, afterwards, we have a split text column called split all friend requests. That's just looking at this text column and splitting it into an array. Okay, so again, it's a split text, and it's looking at the all friend requests, and it's splitting by the comma, which turns this comma separated list into an array. Next, I have this lookup called lookup my friend requests, where if I have, or if I am signed in as that person, like if I'm signed in as Alan, right, it's going to take wherever my friend requests are, and it's going to populate them across all rows, right? So then that way I can access who is currently requesting to be my friend, regardless of which profile I'm viewing. Okay, we'll see why this is important later. All right, next, again, let's say I'm pretending I'm Tamsin. we're using a make array column to add the current user, in this case Tamsin, to the list of current friend requests. So this is a make array where I'm adding 2 items here. The first item is I'm grabbing the split all friend requests, which is this column here in the background, along with my row ID. All right, so what that does is it takes a look at this person's friend requests. So again, I'm Tamsin, and I'm looking at Alan, and I want to become Alan's friend. Alan already has 3 friend requests, but I'm adding myself to that list as well, because eventually I want to request to be Alan's friend. Right, so it adds my row ID or my user ID to his list of existing friends. So now you see, instead of just 1, 2, 3, it's 1, 2, 3, then my ID. Now we want to be able to write this value back to the list of requests here. And you see that our friend request is a comma separated value. So we need to convert this array back into a comma separated list, and we do that with a join list column. So you'll see that often in some of the videos that I create, is that I split something, I'll add something using a make array, and then I'll join it back again using a join list column. So you're going to see that several times in this video here as well. So we have this new array, and then I'm joining it with a join list column, where I'm just taking that array and turning it back into a comma separated list. And the thought is that when I say yes, request to be friend, it's going to take this value, which is his original 1, 2, 3, but now it includes my row ID. It's going to take it and it's going to send it here using a button and using some actions. Okay, so that's the premise. Then I have some relations going. So I have, this is requested friends. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so I have first off a relation to requested friends. This is a relation that's going from the user ID of the profile, right, back to the profile's split all friend requests. So I can see here that if I'm Tamsin, I'm requesting to be Alan's friend, right? So it's a relation to all of the friend requests that each person has made so far, right? So Tamsin has requested to be Alan's friend, so Alan happens to show up in this relation. Okay, then I have the reverse logic happening in friend requests. So I have a relation going from the split all friend requests to the profile's ID. So just the reverse. And this will show that if I'm signed in as Alan, it'll show all of the possible people that are requesting to be my friend. Right? We want to display this in our app so that way Alan can see who's requesting to be his friend without having to navigate around to everybody's profile to see if they happen to have requested to be his friend. Right? We can create a new inline list with this information. So then I have a lookup here of my friend requests, and this is very similar to the lookup of my friend requests, except for this lookup, what I'm grabbing is I'm looking up the actual comma separated list, whereas here with this my friend requests, I'm looking through the relation to self, this profile self, and I'm grabbing the requests split all. So I'm not grabbing this column, I'm grabbing the array column, the split here. Okay. All right, so if I'm viewing as Alan, right, I see that I've taken my friend requests and I've populated across all of the rows. Okay, the last 2 columns for friend requests is actually the functionality of declining a friend request. So let's say Alan is looking at his list of requests and he ends up wanting to decline Tamsin's request, right? So what I need to happen is I want to take my existing list of friends, 1, 2, 3, for example, and revert it back to 1, 2, 3 without Tamsin's ID and send that value back to my list of requests, thereby declining the request. So I imagine Alan will see that there's a request from Tamsin. He will visit Tamsin's details screen, which means now we're living on Tamsin's row. And so we need from Tamsin's row, from her detail screen, functionality to decline the friend request, thereby sending this 1, 2, 3 right back to this all friend requests, removing consequently then her ID. So how we do that is through this remove element column. So the remove element column takes an array, in this case the list of my friend requests, and I'm going to remove the person I'm currently viewing, the user ID for that person. And so you see that it takes this 1, 2, 3, and then Tamsin's ID, and removes Tamsin's ID. And then I have a join list converting this array back to a comma-separated list. And the point of this is then when I hit decline, it's going to take this value, 1, 2, 3, right? And then write it back to my list of friend requests like this, thereby removing Tamsin from my list of requests. Okay, so that's the requests section. Now taking a look at actually having a friend, we have a new friends section here. All right, so it's just like requests, I have a text column that is just a list of friends. And again, this is going to be a comma-separated list of friends, just like the requests. And I have some very similar columns here. So I have a lookup of my friends, which is taking a lookup of, through the relation, of the list of friends. So no matter who is viewing the app, whether it's Alan viewing the app or Tamsin viewing the app, it's going to populate his list of friends or her list of friends across all of the rows. So right now, Alan's only friend is Bob. And so we see Bob has his ID populated across all 3 rows because that happens to be Alan's friend. Right, we see Bob has 2 friends. And so if I view the app as Bob, right, both of those IDs are populating across all of the rows. Okay, so that's the lookup of my friends. Now I'm going to take friends and split it. So I'm turning this comma-separated list of friends into an array using the split text column, where I'm splitting friends. And then I'm relating friends. So it's going to show a list of friends for that particular person. So these are Tamsin's friends, these are Alan's friends, and these are Bob's friends. All right, just like the lookup of my friends, I have a lookup of my friends array. I guess I call this my friends array. Or this is like my friends CSV. Or sometimes I call it like join my friends. I'll call it CSV. Well, no, I think I'm using join at the moment, so I'll just use join. Okay, so this is join my friends. This is the my friends array, which is the same thing. I'm just looking up through the relation of all of my friends. I'm grabbing the split friends column, so that way I have an array of all of my friends in every single row. The reason I need this is because if I happen to want to remove a friend, I need to visit that person's detail screen, know who my friends already are, and remove that person's ID from my list of friends. So from this my friends array, I then have a column, which is again a remove element column, where I'm removing the person's user ID from the my friends array. So I imagine that once I become friends with somebody, I'm going to have a button that says like remove friend, and it's going to take the join list of this version, right? So this is a lookup of all of my friends. This is removing the person I'm currently viewing, and this is the joined version of that, so the CSV, and it's going to take this value and send it back to my list of friends, thereby removing that person from my friends. It's kind of similar to like if I were to say declined a friend request, right? Except I'm actually just removing the friend altogether. Okay, so where this gets a little complicated is when it comes to actually adding the friends. Making a request is one way, but when I accept the friend request, not only am I adding that person to my list of friends, but I also want to add myself to that person's list of friends, thereby making it mutual. So if I accept somebody's friend request, right, I want my ID to appear in their list of friends, and I want their ID to appear in my list of friends. So what we need to do is grab an array of my friends. We need to grab an array of their friends and add each other to those arrays and send them back to this list of friends. Okay, so how we do that? If I'm Bob, let's say, my friends are going to be populated across all of the rows. Okay, next, I have a remove friend array. This is a remove element, and this is going to remove the person's ID from my list of friends. So why we need this is, let's say I've already friended somebody and I decide, you know what, I want to remove them as my friend. I'm pretty much going to go to their profile. There should be a button there that says remove friend. And so when I'm visiting their profile, I'm on their row, I need to take my list of friends and remove their ID. So here I have my friends. This is removing their ID from my list of friends. And then I'm joining those together as a comma separated list. And I'm going to take this value and send it back to my row's list of friends. Okay, so this functionality is if we're already friends and I plan to remove them later. Okay, so what happens if I haven't yet friended them? Okay, what we need to happen is, again, I get added to their list and they get added to my list. So the first thing is, let's add that person to my friends. So again, I'm using a make array column where I'm looking up my friends, the my friends array, right, which is the one that's populating all of my friends across all 3 rows. And I'm going to add the user ID of the person that I'm viewing, right? So let's say I'm viewing as Bob and Alan requested to be my friend. I'm going to visit Alan's profile. There's going to be a button there that says accept, and I'm going to take my ID, take Alan's ID and add it to the list of friends, comma separate it, and then take this value and send it back to my list of friends. All right, so basically adding Alan as a friend. Then I also need to do the reverse. I need to take Alan's list of friends and add me. So this is another make array called user friends plus me, where I'm taking the list of friends from that person, the friends split friends, right? Again, maybe I'm on Alan's row, and so this split friends are Alan's friends, and I'm going to add myself, my user profile ID. Okay, and then I'm joining that, and I plan to then take this list of friends and override Alan. Right? So this join add user to friends here, right? This one will override my row, but this one here will override the row that I'm currently on, thereby mutually adding each other to our friends list. Okay, but then we need the reverse, right? So if we need to remove friend, right? We have this one already where we're removing the other person from our friends, but then we also need to remove myself from their friends. So I have lastly, these last 2 columns here do that. I have a remove element where I'm taking their list of friends, their split friends, and I'm removing myself. I'm joining that together, right? And then I'll eventually send that back to their row. Okay. Whew, right? A lot of columns, a lot of make arrays, split, join, right? And so forth. So it's really good to kind of test this out while you're in the data editor. So as you're thinking about it, you can just kind of play through it in your mind and build the functionality here. All right, so then now that we have those columns, now we can go ahead and build out the interface on the front end. This is the fun part, right? So I'm viewing as Tamsin, let's say, and I want to add Alan as my friend. Okay, so the first thing we have here is a button that says add friend. And what this is going to do is send a request to Alan. Now we only want this button to appear if Alan is not already our friend, if we're not viewing our own profile, and if we haven't already requested Alan to be a friend. So some visibility conditions here. We're going to show the component when my user ID, the person who's viewing the app, is not included in that person's friend requests. Okay. We're also only going to show the button when my user ID is not included in their friends, right? So if I've requested them, I won't show the button. If I'm already a friend, I won't show the button. Also, I don't want to see this button, this add friend, if Alan is already requesting me to be their friend, right? Because I don't want to start a new process of requesting, right? Alan's already requested to be my friend, so I don't need to add a request back to him, right? So if his user ID is included in my friend request, this lookup of friend requests, right, then I don't want to see the button either. And again, I don't want to see this button if I'm viewing my own profile. Okay, so all 4 of those conditions are being met right now. So Tamsin will see this add friend button. And this button has a custom action where it's just doing a couple of things. ultimately what we want to do is we want to take our ID and add it to his list of friend requests. So in his friend requests column, I'm going to add the join add me to requests, which again is the list of all of his current requests plus me. Okay. And then I'll show a notification that says friend requested. Okay, so what does that do in the back end? I hit add friend. Okay. So now I have this dummy button, this friend requested button, and this does absolutely nothing. All it does is say friend requested, and it's got a shuffle order action on it, so when you push it, nothing happens. And this button is only going to show when my ID is listed in his list of friend requests, which it currently is. Okay, so friend requested, great. So now I'm just waiting on Alan to accept my request. Okay, so let's view the app as Alan. Okay, I imagine Alan will accept a friend request from Tamsin's profile, right? So if he were to visit Tamsin's profile, we should have some functionality there to either accept or decline. To make it a little easier, I have a new button or a new tab here called Friends, where I have two different inline lists. One of the inline lists is just the relation to friends, so it's just showing people I'm already a friend with, right? And on top, I also have a list of friend requests, which is just the relation to friend requests. Okay, so I'm viewing as Alan. Tamsin requested to be my friend, so she's showing up in this friend requests section. All right, so I can visit her profile either here or here, either one. Okay, and what we want is this button bar to allow to either accept a request or to decline the request. Okay, so this is this button bar here. The decline request is pretty easy to build. What we're going to do is replace my friend requests with my existing list of friend requests minus the person I'm currently viewing, which we already built. This one here. So declined friend. So we're going to just do a few things. We'll show a notification that says friend request declined. We'll go back a screen because we don't need to view that person's profile anymore. And then we are going to set my list of friend requests to be my previous list of friend requests minus the person I'm currently viewing. So I'm viewing Tamsin's profile right now, but I need to talk back to my row. So instead of doing row this item, we'll choose row profile the self. And the value that we're going to choose, let me zoom out here so you can see it, is we're going to override my list of friends, my list of friend requests with that join list of declined friend request, which again is the lookup of my friend requests minus the person that I'm currently viewing. Okay. So if I were to hit save here, so if I were to hit decline request, again, I'm viewing as Alan, then this 123 ID should just revert back to 123. Let's see if that works. Decline request. Okay, she's gone from my list, and now we see it's back to 123. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and redo that. So again, I'm Tamsin. I'm going to re-request to be Alan's friend. Let's preview as Alan. I see Tamsin's requested to be my friend again. Okay, fine, I'll accept. All right. So the accept, we need an add friend. Again, with add friend, we need to do a few things. With add friend, we need to be able to add this person to my list of friends, add myself to that person's list of friends, and then remove the friend request. Just kind of clean things up. All right, so our add friend has a few different things. First, I show a notification that says friend accepted. I don't need to go back a screen because now that I've added that person as a friend, maybe I want to view their profile a little bit more. All right, then I have three set columns. Okay, the first one is relating back to myself. And this one is where I'm going to take a look at my friends and add that person to my list of friends. That's the join add user to friends join list. Okay, this is the one that is joining my existing list of friends with the person I'm currently viewing. Okay. Next, I need to do the reverse. I need to add myself to that person's list of friends. So I'm already on their row, So I just need to add myself to their list of friends. So I'm not going to do profile self. I'm going to do this item because I'm on Tamsin's row. I want to add myself to Tamsin. And I want to take a look at her list of friends and add myself. And so that's going to be the join user friends plus me, which was the make array of her existing friends plus my ID, but then the joined version of that here. Okay. And then lastly, I want to clean up the friend request. So now that I've added her as a friend, I can remove her from the requests section. So this is the exact same set column as if I were to do a decline friend request, right? Where I'm looking at my profile and I'm overriding the all friends requests, my friend requests, with the list of friend requests minus the person I'm viewing. Okay, so again, this set column is the exact same thing as the decline, except I first added her as a friend before I did it. Okay, so if I hit accept request, that means Tamsin should be my friend and I should be Tamsin's friend. So I'm going to hit accept request, and when I do, I should see that her ID, this XRC, becomes one of my friends here, right? And she should be one of my, and I should be one of her friends. So this XRC should be in Tamsin, and sorry, the XRC should be in my row, and this A.Y, which is my ID, should be in her row. All right, let's see if that takes place. Accept request, friend accepted. Let's take a look. So in Tamsin's list of friends, right, we see the A.Y, which is Alan's ID. And in Alan's row of friends, we see XRC, which is Tamsin's ID. Hey, right on. All right, so we now had Alan to accept Tamsin as a friend, and in doing so, he added himself to her list of friends. Now, either one of them should have the ability to remove that person as a friend, which not only removes them from their friend list, but also removes themselves from that other person's friend list. So the last button here is this remove friend, right? The remove friend should only be seen, let's see, this one should only be seen when the user ID of the person that we're viewing is included in my list of friends, this join my friends, right? Which is that lookup column of the CSV of my friends. Okay, so because Tamsin is one of my friends, I see the button, and if I were viewing as Tamsin and went to Alan's profile, it's mutual, so we would both have a remove friend button. Okay, so with the remove friend button, we need to do a couple of things. Again, we need to remove myself from her list and remove her from my list. And then maybe go back a row because I don't need to see her profile anymore. Okay, so for the remove friend action, we have a few things. Again, we're showing a notification saying friend removed. We're going back a screen, and then we're setting a value in her row and setting a value in my row. So in her row, we're going to override her list of friends to be the join list of the user friends, her list of friends, minus me, right? So minus the person who's viewing the app right now, who's signed into the app. So effectively removing themselves from her list of friends. Okay, and then we have the opposite. So in my row, I'm overriding my list of friends to be the list of friends minus the person I'm viewing, this join remove friend. All right, I hit save. And so when I hit remove friend, then we should no longer be friends of each other. Remove, right? Okay, so I was Alan. Yeah, okay. Some delay there. But I was Alan. So now Tamsin should not be one of my friends anymore, and she's not, which means I should be able to re-request her to be a friend, and I can. Also, if I'm viewing as Tamsin, Alan should not be one of my friends anymore, which he's not, but I should be able to re-request to be his friend, and I can. All right, so yeah, a lot to think about, right? But it was really helpful to go through the data editor first and just come up with all of the logic, and then go back into the layout view and add the buttons and visibility conditions based upon what we're trying to do. So you might have to go through this a few times in order to really get it right. But if you have any questions at all, feel free to leave me a comment below. You can reach out to me at Twitter at rpetito. And if you become one of my Glide VIP members through my YouTube subscription, you'll actually get a copy of this add friend request template as part of that subscription. So that way you can just copy it and see it for yourself without having to walk through step by step and building it yourself. So completely up to you. Again, if you have any questions at all, please let me know. And as always, thanks for watching.